and I found you at the right time. You're running my mind. Oh no, it's been a long time. Oh, I've been searching for a long time. Glad that I found you at the right time. Oh, you're running my mind. I can't lose this loving, this loving, this loving. Don't wanna lose this loving, this loving, this loving. I can't lose this loving, this loving, this loving. Don't wanna lose this loving, this loving, this loving. I see what I've been missing. Been through many seasons, but I never found the person.
Hello, welcome to Conjugal Bliss. I'm Dr. Priscilla Ashonibare. Thank you for joining us. Today we are going to be starting our discussion on a topic that everybody would definitely want to know something about. It is a topic that has been affecting lives negatively, destroyed many lives, buried so many visions, dreams, and aspirations of people, had wrecked many homes. It's a topic that would make even families, to be separated, children affected, generations affected as well. And that topic is adultery. Yes, adultery. That is the topic we want to talk about. It so happened that the people in the world, people will say that it is your life, live it the way you want, you feel good about it, continue, it is your happiness that matters. And they would encourage people to do this, to go into whatever negative behavior, vices that they can, just to be able to feel good. And my question is, now, if the people are saying, okay, if you feel like it, you do it. If you want to do it, you do it. Everybody is doing it, so there's no problem doing it. Yet, when somebody does it, the same people will come together to crucify the person. I remember there was this story of this political candidate many years ago in a very, very, very great country. And the man was doing very well. As a matter of fact, he was one of the candidates that were leading at that time. As soon as the campaign started, he was actually running to become a president. And all of a sudden, a woman came out and said, he had a relationship with me despite being married many years ago. Hey, do you know what happened? After that, the man just fizzled out, just like that. He disappeared. So his dream to becoming a president of his nation never saw the day of the light of the day. Why? Because of adultery. I also remember there was this athlete. If I mention his name, many people would know, but I'm not going to mention the name anyway. But you can try to put two and two together and try to guess. Okay, this athlete was the world #1 in his own specific area of sport. And anytime he's going to compete, people just know that, no, there is no doubt about it. 100% he's going to win. But somehow, one day, the wife got to know that he was in an adulterous relationship. And it was all over the media. You see everywhere. It was, as we say, trending. Everywhere they were saying, so. I've been caught to be a cheat. I've been caught to be in, as they call it affair. But it's not affair. It's adultery. Call it the name. Adultery. Okay? So that it can hit hard. And as soon as that woman, the wife got to know that he was in this adulterous relationship, ask me, what happened to his career? Nosedived. That was how he couldn't, after that, he tried to come back. He never was able to come back. Even right now, if you tell the young ones, maybe children who are less than 10 years old, you mention the name of the person, they might be wondering, who is that? But just a few years ago, he was a household name. What wrecked him? Adultery. So what should we do? We should talk about this. We should be able to understand what it is. And when God is saying, don't do something, it is for your own benefit. He said in Exodus 20:14, don't commit adultery. It's one of the the commandments, the 10 commandments, that everybody should sit up and make sure they live their lives to keep. Don't commit adultery. He also said in Proverbs 6:20 that he that commits adultery lacks understanding. So that is why I'm here today. I'm not condemning you, so don't let your conscience begin to prick you, and don't turn off the channel or change this channel. I know that as you follow, in case you've not been into it, you'll be able to prevent it happening later in the future. And if maybe you've experienced this, don't beat on yourself yet. Just stay with me as we continue, because this is going to take us some weeks to finish, okay? Because we are going to be talking about so many subtopics under it. What I'm trying to say is make sure you stay with me. Invite your friends, invite even your enemies, tell everyone to come, and let's discuss about this word called adultery. So while we are going to be talking about what is it that we are going to be talking about, okay, we are going to be talking about what is adultery. We're going to be talking about types of adultery. We'll talk about what causes adultery, or what are some of the reasons people give for going into adultery. We're going to be talking about effects of adultery on the adulterer, because some people will think, okay, the adulterer is only enjoying himself or herself. Just hold it. We're going to be talking about the negative effect that it will have on the adulterer, the negative effect it has on the betrayed spouse, the negative effect that it will have on the relationship of the spouses, and also the effect it will have on their children, should they have children. Okay. We're also going to be talking about, because after talking about what it is, what causes this, I think we shouldn't stop there. You'll agree with me. So we are going to be also discussing about roads and bridges to healing. Should this have happened? Maybe somebody will say, no, once it happened between my spouse and I, it is, we go a separate path. Just hold it. Stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. The sixth thing we're going to be talking about is when separation is healthier after adultery. Somebody will say, are you not saying that everybody who ends up in adultery, are you not contradicting yourself? You said roads and bridges to healing. Now you are saying no separation. Yeah, remember I said when it is healthier. You understand better. I'm just giving an introduction of what we are going to be talking about. Okay, now we're also going to be discussing about how to guard against adultery. To be adultery, what? Proof. How to guard against adultery. You're not become like, don't say somebody is fireproof, okay? You prevent yourself from, going into adultery in the future. What are the things that you can put in place? And last but not the least, we're going to be just discussing about the spiritual implications of adultery. So are you ready with me? Let's go on this journey. Okay. So what is adultery? Adultery is the emotional bond between a married person and someone who is not their spouse. I come again. Adultery is the emotional bond between a married person and the person who is not their spouse. It may or may not include sexual intercourse. Because most times people will think until you've already done the deal, you've had sexual intercourse, then that is adultery. Hold it. It's more than that. From the definition. So from the definition now let's talk about the types of adultery. The number one type of adultery is emotional adultery. The second is virtual or digital adultery. And the third is physical adultery. So we have three types of adultery that we are going to be discussing about: emotional adultery, virtual or digital adultery, and physical adultery. What is emotional adultery? This happens when a married person forms a deep emotional bond with someone outside the marriage, to the extent that the person is sharing secrets, is sharing intimacy, is sharing affection or dependence. The person discovered that they are getting closer to this opposite sex more than to their spouse. They're looking forward to always seeing this person, getting a message from this person, conversing with this person even over the phone. All this put together is called emotional adultery. Yep, emotional adultery. That is what Jesus was talking about also when he spoke about adultery in Matthew 5:28. He said, whosoever looks on a woman to lust after her had already committed the adultery already. So, and some other people will call it the adultery of the heart. The adultery of the heart. I will also name this adultery lucre, because it's just something that with your eyes and all that. Okay, it is the emotional, mental, or heart adultery. It's full of lustful thoughts. It is when a married person sees that he or she is fantasizing about the opposite sex, imagining having sex with this opposite sex, and all in between. That is what is called emotional adultery. It can even be just like the person is just having sexual desires toward this person. It is still emotional adultery. Or when this married person discovers that there's this too much closeness between him or her and a third party, that is the person is becoming so attached to this person. Like, for example, you will see this married person with this opposite sex, maybe in their place of work. They are always going together to get lunch, always going together to this place. They're always sitting together and talking, and they are saying, oh, we are just friends. And the closeness is just becoming too much. That is already emotional adultery. It is when you begin to share too intimate feelings and experiences with someone that you are not married to. The opposite sex that you are not married to. You find yourself always looking forward to being with this person. You're preoccupied with the thought of this person. That is already emotional adultery. As a matter of fact, you find yourself that you're beginning to enjoy the company of this person more than the company of your spouse. I remember there was a time when a father in the Lord, Daddy Adeboye, was talking about this man that came to him and said, that he discovered that during weekend, he was always looking forward to go to the office on Monday because he was always looking forward to see his secretary. And Daddy told him, fire that secretary. That was emotional adultery. Okay. The person now is your gist partner. You now see such people married. They'll now be discussing with this opposite sex for a long time on the phone. No, that is wrong. It is already emotional adultery. Yeah. And what happened is it has been discovered that more percentage of women engage in emotional adultery than men. More percentage of women engage in emotional adultery than men. Because for a man, yes, that is how it starts. But until they do the act, they think that there's nothing wrong with it. I'm saying there's everything wrong with it. Okay, some will say we are just friends. We are just friends. He's just helping me. She's just helping me. He's just putting me through. She's just putting me through. Why can't you find somebody that's the same sex and let that person put you through? Don't expose yourself to undue temptation. You now begin to confide in that person, unnecessarily. Even to the extent that you begin to tell that person the problem you're having with your spouse. That is overstepping the normal boundary. Okay? I hope you understand what emotional adultery is all about now. So let's move to the second type of adultery, that is virtual or digital adultery. Yes, this one I will call adultery enabled by technology and internet. Okay? If you want to explain it in a different way. It is an online sexual relationship. It can be with somebody you know. It can even be with somebody you've never seen face to face before. So this is virtual or digital adultery that is enabled by technology and the internet. It is when a married person is beginning to chat, is beginning to send messages that contain explicit messages, exchanging description of private parts, sending semi-nude and nude pictures of each other to each other, like conversing or exchanging different kinds of explicit messages. And it's called sexting. Some people call it sexting, sexting. Okay, it is sending. Even sometimes can even be videos that would include all what I've explained. That is what is virtual or digital adultery. And this will always lead to pornography. It goes hand in hand with pornography. So if, as a married person, you are visiting those sites you're not supposed to visit, that is already a virtual and a digital adultery. Somebody will say, I just popped on my phone. If it popped up on your phone, you can swipe it off, you can delete it. But when it popped up and you're saying, oh, what is this? And you keep on looking at it. Seeing it is not the problem. Looking is the problem. Seeing, you just, all of a sudden, you see something. But when you look, you give attention to it. That is when it becomes a virtual or digital adultery. Though virtual, it can seriously damage commitment between spouses. Though virtual, it can seriously damage commitment between spouses. It can also seriously damage trust between spouses. And this pornography will also lead to masturbation. As a matter of fact, it has been discovered that the number one addiction that the world is dealing with now doesn't have to do with drugs. It's pornography. And I believe that God is going to deliver you if you are already hooked by it in the name of Jesus. As I said, the virtual or digital adultery will go hand in hand with pornography. And another thing that it brings along with it is masturbation. Yeah, masturbation. And masturbation has so many other negative effects it has on people. We do not have enough time to go into that. As I said, masturbation is you cheating on your spouse with yourself. That is how I try to explain it, okay? Because the sexual gratification they are supposed to get from your spouse, you are trying to get it yourself. So it is you cheating on your spouse with yourself. It is you betraying your spouse. Yeah, masturbation is a form of betrayal. It can also become problematic when it becomes compulsive. And when it becomes obsessive, it becomes an addiction. So you see a man, he's married to the wife, but he will not even try to go to the wife for intimacy anymore for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Why? Because he's masturbating. And that goes hand in hand with what? With virtual and digital adultery. Okay. Some will say there is nothing wrong with masturbation. I've had so many people say that there's nothing wrong with it. My question now is, if there's nothing wrong with it, then why are you hiding it from your spouse? So you see, now you know that there's something wrong with it. Okay, now if there's something wrong with it also, then why carry the guilt and the condemnation when you practice it? Then you know that there's something wrong with it. Okay, now let's talk briefly about the third adultery, which is the physical adultery. It is when it involves sexual intercourse between a married person and someone that is not their spouse. Now, when we're talking about all this, sometimes one of the reasons why people would end up in this is because they do not understand that there's a progression. Before physical adultery would take place, there will always be either emotional adultery or virtual and digital adultery before this physical one comes. So the physical adultery is like the climax of the progression of the adultery. So if you can be able to, as soon as the thought comes, as soon as you see yourself that you are getting closer to this person, as soon as you see that you are beginning to send messages that are supposed to be sent, and sometimes even this virtual digital adultery can be when, some people will start sending messages, hello, to their ex, how are you? And before you know it, they continue to discuss. Oh, there's nothing, we are just discussing. And before you know it, it's getting out of hand. But if they're able to know that, no, this path that I'm going through is a dangerous path, they'll be able to do something to quickly prevent going all the way downhill into the way of destruction. So what have we been discussing about today? We've been talking about adultery, the definition. We're talking about types of adultery. Make sure you join me again next week because we're going to be continuing this topic. And I know that you're going to be really, really blessed. As I said, invite someone, share this with people around, let everybody get the understanding. Because the Bible said in Proverbs 6:20, a man that commits adultery lacks understanding. So let's get the understanding so that we will not be a prey. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Conjugal Bliss. And make sure that you join me again, same time, same day on this same channel. God bless you.